So it's hot outside today and we have no shade. So what we're going to attempt to do is connect that tarp to the side of the container to a couple of trees. And unfortunately, the tarp is not as long as the Conex, which is 40 feet. The tarp is only about 30-ish, but we're gonna make it work. My wife is making a bunch of prusicks to attach the tarp to the rope. We're gonna attach one corner to that hole, which is used to stack and lock these things together. And it's gonna go from that corner to that tree. And we're gonna try not to disturb this girl. She's been busy. And we're going to attempt to go from this tree over here. But we're gonna line up where the end of this tarp is. And so if we go up, there's no place to tie to. Whatever shall we do? So we're gonna try this and see how horribly it fails, but I'm gonna take a C-clamp, and this is a 2-inch C-clamp. I'm gonna clamp it to the edge and tighten it down, and then we're gonna try to tie the rope off to this and then to the tree. Fingers crossed. So the reason for trying to put this tarp up is to create a little shade, because we have no shade out here, and to kind of protect stuff underneath here that doesn't necessarily fit inside the Conex. Like the blue pallet, we could put firewood on if we wanted, and it could be protected. The wood could be protected from the elements just a little bit, just enough to keep the rain from falling on them. The trailer here could be protected from the water just a little bit. And big thing is shade, because it's hot and my solar panel is working overtime. I was going to attempt to be fancy. This rope is not very flexible. So what I'm going to do, not tying off to this tree, I'm going to tie off to this tree, but it's hard to hold the camera up there while I'm doing that, so I'm going to demonstrate on this tree. I'm going to wrap it around the tree twice and just do a simple slip knot. Wrapping around the tree twice just gives it a little bit more bite so it doesn't want to slide down. Obviously the tree tapers as it goes up, so if it's tied tightly here, it won't want to slide down regardless. But just to be sure and certain, we will do something like that. And even though this rope is stiff, it should hold that fairly well. And this will go from the tree to the corner. And it's going to seem like overkill, but I'm going to run the remnant 180 feet of rope through the hole and back, so that I can cut it to length a little bit more precisely. As I was running the rope through the corner of the Conex, I realized that if I pull it taut at this moment, we won't be able to attach the tarp up there, because I have extension ladders and not an A-frame ladder. So I'm going to leave it kind of dangling. We'll attach this side of the tarp with the thing that my wife is working on, the Prukin, whatever, and then we'll pull it taut and slide the tarp back and forth. So what we're going to do to attach the tarp is we're going to take this little loop. It's been tied, ends are burnt, and then we're going to loop it twice around. Pull that together, and then this end will go through the eyelet of the tarp with a stick through there so it doesn't come off. All right, so here is the grommet. We'll loop it through one more time, because 2 is better than 1. And I want to go back through the middle of the string. And once it comes up, we'll stick the tog through the tarp, and that will keep it from pulling apart. And the loop around the string is, once we can release some tension off of it, it will slide down a little bit and be adjustable. There it goes. A little bit. Anyway, we'll work that into place. So we got them all togged. Now I've got to put tension on this side. Okay, so it's hard to see from the ground, so I climbed up here. This lip is what I'm clamping onto, and it's just flat. I thought that might have been a little bit of an edge, either top or the bottom. Top wouldn't make sense, bottom might. But this is just a C-clamp. I've run the rope through it, and I've put my weight on it, and it didn't really slip as much as it did rotate, and I can always put a little bit more steam on it to clamp it down. This will work for a very short period of time. I think I will get a unistrut I-beam clamp. I think I'll get an I-beam clamp that's intended for load, and if this fails, I'll put this up here. Okay, so as you can tell, the tarp got really heavy, and it's all I could do to pull it, so we moved it back a little bit. I may have to do some ratchet straps, but also we've got some thunder and some rain coming in, so we're going to try to get just a couple of Prusiks tied to the taut line, just to get it up off of the trailer and everything else, and get it suspended. Oops, hole. Like I said, we've got to stop because of the weather coming in, and this is probably going to hold water. No probably about it. It's a big bowl, and things may fall apart, but it gets it up off the trailer. Immediately, I'm gonna try to tighten something up to encourage the water to run off. Anyway, fingers crossed that it's here tomorrow. Surprisingly, after several days worth of rain, the tarp is still up. We did a rush job to get it attached, and one of the clamps came loose, but I have a way to fix that. All right, so what I've got instead of the C-clamps, I've got these things, and these are beam clamps, typically used with unistrut for electrical conduit work, etc., so forth. Very popular in the IT field. Sorry, there's a sticker. I have to pull that off. And it's threaded for all thread in 2 spots. Typically it clamps onto the beam of a building, and then you screw your all thread in. Then you can do conduit runs for cable, or for HVAC, or for a variety of things. We used to do it for loudspeaker installations. Anyway, so if you can see over here, I've got one of them clamped to the side, and I'll show you a close-up of that here in just a second. So this member is about a 1/2 inch thick, and it goes in and out with the corrugations of the side, and so I can clamp these down in strategic spots. I think I've got 6 of them. This is roughly 30 feet, so you divide the 30 by 6 spacing that I'll have. And what I'll do is I'll crank these down, and then I'll put the grommets of the tarp over this post. So the question is now, how am I going to pull the tarp back this way to get it tauter to the container? Physics. I have a ratchet strap, and I'll connect the long end to the grommet on the tarp and the short end with the crank to this side, and then I will pull it taut. I'm going to start at the far end since I already have a pretty good connection down there, and I'm going to work my way back up, or I'm going to look at things. I may start on this end. It's going to be a bit of a head scratcher just to figure out which one's going to be best. They say the best laid plans. The hook on this end is, which is the same as the hook on the other end, is too large to go through the grommet hole. So I'm going to use one of the Prusix, maybe? There's an eyebrow raised. It's hard to see behind the glasses. Well, you didn't catch any of that because I had the camera facing the wrong direction. But the bolt head on the beam clamp is too big to go through the grommet, so I'm going to have to use the Prusix anyway. I got to go get some string and make a couple more of those. It's still hot. It's after 5. The sun is going down and there's a breeze, but it's hot. I'm wearing this stupid thing to keep my dome from sunburning. Anyway. So this is the high-vis braided poly something or other line that my wife was using the other day to make the Prucus. Prucus? Yeah, I think it's Prucus. And I just double checked that the strength of the line is like 113 pounds, which is probably more than the tarp grommets are qualified for. So I'm okay with pulling on this as much as I am. I've already noticed that one of the grommets is kind of pulled away a little bit from the tarp, which means I'll probably have to go back and reinforce that particular spot with some Gorilla Tape or something similar, and maybe a new grommet. Anyway, we're gonna go down there and look at stuff now. So off camera, I was able to ratchet this over and throw that over the bolt. Yay! And that is nice and taut. So much so that I've already had to tighten that up once and I ran out of reach. I'll have to, and the ladder was getting in the way and a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, so I'm gonna do this a couple more times and get this closer to the edge here and call it a day because it's hot. This is why you keep your receipt until after you're done with the installation. This one gave way, so I get to take it back and get another one. Which means I have to be up here again. All right, so that's 5 of the 6 because the 6th one broke. And you can see that I get this fairly tight. Got a nice droop. Got a little bit of a bowl right there, which I can pull out over there. We can do that tomorrow when I have some hands, extra hands. And I got enough tension on this that there is now slack in the rope, which is good, so I can tighten that up and we can get this to be nearly perfect. So not bad. It did stay up. A little bit of a breeze blowing. It has had a little flutter to it, which is good. I'd rather it, well, I don't know. I'd rather it stay there and not rip or come off or, you know, fail in some catastrophic manner. This is mainly just to give us some shade and some shelter from the hot sun now that it is August in Georgia. Staring right at the sun. There it is. Okay, so I got a replacement clamp. Look at that. I put a ratchet strap on this corner and ran it to the corner and pulled it taut. We equally spaced the clamps. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to work on that part. We moved the rope off of the C-clamp onto the beam clamp. I'm going to try to put it on the body versus the bolt and then tighten the rope up. Well, almost tighten the rope up. We're going to try to get the Prusix a little closer to the rope. Just keep it from fluttering around too terribly much and give it enough room to drain water off of it without it standing in the bowl area, or what is currently a bowl area. We do have one corner that's not even attached. And then we got a slight small hole right there from the tarp grabbing onto the trailer below the other day. So, some Gorilla Tape to the rescue.
I don't know if you can tell, but it's raining and we're staying dry. It's staying up. It's a little saggy in the back here. We're playing with gathering some water just out of curiosity. We've identified a couple of drainage issues. Need to bring some sand in up here. We encourage you to go that way, around that way. But we've also had some really strong thunder and lightning. Standing next to a large metal box underneath water. And we've had some wind, and it went airborne. We've only got like 3 attachment points on this end. Okay, 4, maybe 5 attachment points on this end. So we're cluttered up. We're not done. We're done for today.
So the tarp is still up after the rain yesterday. Yay! And we brought in a load of sand to fill in that hole. We'll kind of let it wash itself out. And we moved the trailer back and put some filler in this spot too. Okay. We're going to wrap this side up with my handy dandy step ladder. I'm going to stand in the bucket because I still don't have a A-frame ladder out here. And gonna do the togs up there. Gonna start from the corner, work our way down, and hopefully square this connection up to the tree. Fingers crossed. Time lapse coming in 3, 2. So we have made it as pretty as we can. We still have a little bit of a bowl there, so I think we're going to take a guy wire, not guy, and pull from that point out and down so that it kind of does that and flattens out. I'm hungry. We're going to use some of this poly braided stuff as the guy wire, probably around a pine tree or a little sweet gum that's over there, and this would very quickly cut into the tree and probably cut through the tree. But thankfully, I brought a piece of bad old water hose, and we'll wrap that around the tree. We'll put the line through the tree, That's what we're trying to avoid. We'll put the lime in the coconut, like so, and then bend that around the tree. That will, and I'm not worried about killing the tree, I'm just worried about more of failure with this thing coming loose, whatever. We'll wrap that around the tree. That'll give it a little bit more surface area and less bite from the poly string, and then we should be okay. Fingers crossed. Okay, so we did a guy wire using that Prusik switch to some heavier decapitating rope because it's camouflage and gonna be difficult to see. It's just a bigger version of that. Don't ask me why I use both. I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I'm hot. And we went down here and used a taut line hitch so we can add tension on this side. This Prusik is hanging there just as a reminder that it's there. And then this falls gracefully, kidding, falls gracefully to whatever tree that is down there. We've got another taut line hitch here. We're using the water hose just to not cut into the tree. It allows a little bit more lubrication on the rope as we're tightening the hitch. And now when you look back up this side, I think we're okay. There's a possibility of a little bowling right there, but I think once the water starts rolling off, it will roll off right there without any problem. I could put another guy wire out there, but I think we're going to call this done. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.
Too many hobbies, not enough time.
It's a theme song, y'all.